Good evening, everyone. I am Hardik, and we are here this evening to discuss a topic that I believe is highly essential and significant, especially in today's time. Our topic for today is societal standards leading to eating disorders. So, what exactly are eating disorders? An eating disorder is a complex mental health condition in which the person affected experiences significant disruptions in their eating behaviors as well as in their related thoughts and emotions. Although the term eating is in the name, eating disorders are about more than just food. Today, eating disorders are among the deadliest mental illnesses, second only to opioid addiction, resulting in more than 11,000 deaths each year. Also, more than 70 million people internationally live with eating disorders, with the numbers significantly increasing with time. And so, to carry forward this important discussion and to raise awareness about the same, we have with us today Mrs. Avanti Deshpande and Ms. Azra Khan. Mrs. Deshpande, a postgraduate in food science and nutrition from SNDT Mumbai, is a certified nutrigenomic counselor and has over 15 years of experience in the industry, having assisted numerous people in achieving their nutrition and fitness goals. Ms. Khan is a certified nutritionist from the International Sports Science Association and has successfully transformed the lives of over 4,000 people all around the world. Both our panelists for today are leading nutritionists and they are here to share their perspectives on our topic for today. Ma'am, we are absolutely thrilled to have you with us today, and I was hoping we could start by introducing our topic to the audience. We would love to hear your views about the topic. So, what exactly are eating disorders? Ms. Khan, would you like to start with that?
Yeah, sure, Hardik. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. And with that, the topic of today is also very relevant to the times that we are living in. When we talk about eating disorders, it is just a simple term, basically abnormal eating behaviors that negatively affect our mental health. As you already said that it is a mental disorder, definitely that. But what leads to being a disorder in a person is also very important, that very relevant. And that's why the topic of today, that is societal standards leading to mental health disorders, is also it is the main thing that we should discuss right now, right here, because that is majorly in most of my clients, whoever is suffering from mental disorders, this is the major reason. The societal standards based on which a particular person should look a certain way, or dress up a certain way, and things like that, have led to people considering dieting as a negative term and not focusing on healthy eating, rather reducing calories way too little, and eventually leading to the disorder that we are talking about today.
Yes, ma'am, that's good. Mrs. Deshpande, would you like to add to it? Ma'am, I think your mic is not.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry for that. And thank you for inviting me for this session. So, as Azra was mentioning, it is something the need of the hour. But understanding what eating disorders is also very important, because there are three, four different types of eating disorders. So, as Azra was mentioning the importance of it, I would just like to throw light, on the different kinds of disorders that could happen with, what we call as eating disorders. The first one we call as anorexia nervosa, where the person does not eat at all, and also combined with that does excess amount of exercise. The second one is bulimia nervosa, where the person will eat normally, but then they will puke out whatever they are eating, purge out whatever they are eating. So in a way that is a guilt eating, they'll eat whatever they want, they'll go to parties, attend it, and then they'll purge out whatever they are eating. The third very common kind of a disorder, which was not existing in the past, but I think it has happened especially because of the advent of social media, is orthorexia. It is the craze of eating too much of healthy food. Like, people, there are a few people, a few clients who cannot think beyond eating healthy food at all. They're constantly counting calories, they're constantly checking, in the market what are the healthy foods. So they do not live in moderation, but they do not enjoy going eating out, but they are constantly on their mind that the food that they eat has to be constantly healthy. The fourth one is binge eating, which is a stress eating, which is also kind of an eating disorder. So, stress eating under certain circumstances, like, maybe your exams are nearing and you're eating at that point in time, is a very different form of stress eating. But when we call as eating disorder and stress and binge eating, it is something beyond the regular things that you see. And then that needs a psychiatric, a psychologist, and a nutritionist combined together effort to really get a person out of it. And finally, not related to an eating disorder, but very commonly seen these days, is excessive exercise. People are into so much of exercise of different sorts. And of course, this is a lot to do, because of the self image, or because of the influencers that they see on social media, the kind of workouts that they are doing. And then they feel, nowadays influencers have become people, or, girl next door, boy next door. So if they are able to do it, I should also be able to do it. That kind of a syndrome is set in, when, then that becomes like a compulsive exercise. So these are the different types of eating disorders. And it is a combination of a psychological, sometimes you need psychological, psychiatrist, and nutritionist working together to help the person understand it and then come out of it.
Yes, ma'am, that's exactly what it is. So, ma'am, a question to both of you. As you mentioned, ma'am, that one of these disorders, which was orthorexia, has become prevalent in these times because of social media. But
Yes.
what about the others? And one to add to that, if they were present earlier, was there a stigma surrounding these eating disorders? Because we know that in the past, mental health was considered something which isn't normal, right? So was it the same for eating disorders?
You want me to
Yeah.
take that?
Oh,
Okay.
ma'am,
Okay.
anyone?
Uh, so, yes, eating disorders is not was, is a stigma to a large extent. By
Okay.
the time a person himself realizes, herself realizes that I have an eating disorder, which is beyond, just dieting. So, dieting is like the way Azra said, people are into dieting and not into healthy eating and balanced diet, which is also going to make them healthy and make them fit. So there are a lot of shortcuts which people want to take. That's why this thing of fat diets, and then beyond that, you move into an eating disorder where you yourself don't realize that you're slowly moving into that. Now, what happens is, maybe a person does not realize that he or she has an eating disorder, but the people around them somehow realize, like there is some problem happening. But there is so much of stigma in the society, like, how can my child have a problem like this? We are, coming, we are having a very secure family background. I mean, there is so many good things happening. There's so much of access to this person. How can this happen to a person like this? So it is a mindset and a stigma with the parents also. And then the parents realizing, okay, there are so many clients who come to us. The first is, and we understand that this is not just, dieting and, following a fat diet or something. It is beyond that. It is an eating disorder. But what happens is, it becomes very difficult for us to convince the parents, like, come on, just go to a psychologist, get some help at that point in time, help your, ward out of it. And then diet and that counseling together gives fantastic results, which just doesn't happen with the help of a nutritionist.
Yes, ma'am.
As realization, so like any other mental issue, eating disorder also, people need to be more aware and understand, yes, this is a problem and that has to be tackled.
Definitely, ma'am. Miss Khan, would you like to add to that?
Yes, definitely. As Avanti said, that we often deal with clients who we diagnose instantly that it is not just about the diet, but then convincing their ward and convincing them that you don't need to lose weight or gain weight. You have to focus more on your behavior change, mindset change, and that acceptance. First of all, they have to accept it. Their parents, their friends have to accept it, and these days also it is a taboo, and people don't take it seriously. Nowadays mental health has become the talk of the town, but we don't see many people talking about societal standards leading to eating disorders. There are a few documentaries made here and there, a few people who come out and tell that, okay, this was my story, but not shared as often as mental disorders, other mental disorders have been shared. I don't think people don't even, most people don't even know that it is a mental disorder. They just read the word eating and they just focus on dieting and nutritionists and dietitians and weightlifting, weight training, and all of that. Then when it comes to the parents, so what I have noticed personally is in the growing years of a child, parents don't just compare marks, but they compare the child's body as well. That why are you not that active, why are you not looking the way others look, and that starts from home. So we have to educate the parents and the children both, and the adults also, of course, everyone who's watching, that stop comparing the marks, the bodies, everything, and focus on being the best version of yourself. Just comparing yourself with Instagram models, or comparing their child with someone else's child, body wise, weight wise, height wise, marks wise, is leading to a lot of mental disorders, including eating disorders as well. So yeah, it has to stop, and we have to start somewhere. And I think this is a great opportunity. Whatever we are doing right now, it is some sort of start.
Absolutely, ma'am. So let's continue with that. And the next question that is what are these societal standards that lead to these eating disorders? Like you mentioned, ma'am, it starts at home. That's what you said. Like sometimes, not always, but sometimes it does start at home.
Yeah.
And apart from that, what is the role of social media when it comes to these eating disorders, these influencers, these celebrities? So can you
Yeah.
elaborate on that?
Definitely. First of all, thinness is in. Everybody wants to look thin, and the more thin you are, the better you will look. Is the perception of the people, and they don't even think that thinness is also a problem. Excess of anything is bad. If you are too thin, it is a problem. If you are too fat, it is a problem. It basically boils down to what your biochemical reactions are, how your blood work is, how your physiology is, and it doesn't just has to depend on how you look. But people don't understand that, and these are the societal standards. You have to fit a small or a medium. If you are just going beyond that, there is a problem, and then you start dieting without thinking of anything. And these days, for dieting, there are so many things. Egg diet, water diet is also there, by the way, and people start believing in these shortcuts that just drinking water will make them lose weight, and eventually become obsessed with the weighing scale, they become obsessed with the numbers. It starts bothering them a lot, and then no matter how they know that something is wrong, but they don't know what to do about it. And that is why the more we talk about it, it is going to help them feel okay and come out. You as if you see someone, how often do we say that, do you have a problem? If someone loses weight, the first thing that comes out from our mouth is, oh
Yeah,
my
it's
god, you're
like
looking
wow.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, wow, you are looking amazing. Yeah, थोड़े से पतले हो जाओ तो और ज़्यादा अच्छे लगोगे. These are the things we talk about. We never say why did you lose weight, or why have you put on so much weight. We don't have the time. Just like are you okay? पूछ तो लेते हैं, but उसके बाद का जवाब सुनने के लिए तैयार नहीं है. So that is
right.
uh, very important to discuss. And societal standards, being obsessed with thinness, I think, is the major thing that we have to let go of. We as Indians are any which ways curvy, and we shouldn't follow the West for a standard body type any which ways. That's what
Right.
I feel.
Absolutely, ma'am. Mrs. Deshpande, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, definitely. The societal standards would be, what happens is people are looking for self worth. And
Yeah,
I think not just your generation, but, even like the older generation, everybody is looking for
right,
shortcuts. I think a reel has become like a 30-second one. So you can imagine the kind of a attention span we are looking into.
right,
So everything has to be a shortcut. And what happens is that's why these fad diets come into picture, because these are shortcut diets. So, you're looking forward for your birthday coming up, or an event coming up or something like that. And then that is where you're trying to see, okay, this is the thing only that I'm looking forward to. And beyond that, I'm not interested, what I'm doing about. That is where these fad diets come into picture. So not just that, eating disorders just doesn't happen to everybody. Okay, there's a difference. There's a spectrum. You need to understand that not everybody who's dieting and following a strict diet and all has eating disorders. When it goes beyond you are not in control of your
control, right,
thoughts. That is where that eating disorders come into picture. Like, even if you see maybe, if you see some chips, or you see some vada pav, and then you want to eat that, and if you're feeling okay, let me just eat that. Sometimes it's good because you are not having that kind of a problem where you are going not able to have a control, or it's a moderation. So yes, you are going to enjoy that, and plus you should be able to also come back to routine. This is moderation. But when it comes to eating disorders, a person is obsessed by his weight. I have had a client, very few, actual eating disorder clients are very few, which you will see. But that person is constantly obsessed with, I have to look in a particular way. If I eat this food, I'm going to have a very bad effect on my body. So this is what happens. So when a person is having low self-esteem, when we are looking in for shortcuts, and when a person is trying to fit in, and that person, he or she feels that once I have a particular kind of a body, my self-image is going to be really worth it. I'm going to fit into my peer group, and I'm just going to achieve everything. That kind of a feeling then leads to these eating disorders. And to add to that is the social media around. What you see on Instagram, I think everybody knows that also. What you see on Instagram is not 100% real. Everything is
Mm.
edited. Everything can be, Photoshop. That is what
Right.
people, I think a lot of people, your generation are
Yes,
understanding that.
ma'am.
But then a few people get carried away, because they are trying to fit in. Then this kind of a thing where you're trying to fit in, and probably you don't talk to your friends, you don't talk to your parents about it. You just feel this is the right way. Look at her body, the kind of body she has. Oh, come on. But probably she has been eating well for the past 1 year for the kind of body she's had. She's following a good exercise
Exactly.
pattern. If you suddenly do these shortcuts, either you'll injure your body because of doing excess workout, or then slowly your mind process starts working into eating disorders, which goes beyond your control to manage it. So this is what happens in eating disorders.
Yes, ma'am. So it's basically
Eventually,
more about the. Yes, ma'am. Sure.
yeah,
Sorry.
sorry. Yeah, continue.
No, ma'am. Please. I can.
And once you start behaving the way, like Avanti said, there is very little that you can do also. Then you need proper channels, you need proper help, you need to come out, because you also don't know what you're doing. You also don't have the control. You just, this is just instinct. Just like if you eat something, you come and you puke, it's normal for you. That's how they live. And they, according to them, it's not wrong. They'll enjoy, it's like they'll enjoy a pizza and they'll come back and puke, and they'll say that मैंने enjoy to kiya, because I'm enjoying it.
Right.
Isn't it good enough, right? So it shouldn't affect my body. Just being obsessed with the way they look, and I think the first, after a few weeks, people around them start noticing it, but they don't say it. Even the parents, I don't believe that they don't see it, but they just don't say it. I don't know why, because I think they don't know that they can talk about it. I
Yes,
think they
ma'am. It's
don't know
the
there are
stigma.
proper channels that take care of it. And eventually their health deteriorates so much that they need to seek medical help.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. Absolutely. And ma'am, to add to that, you said that they don't say it, right? So I think that is because of the taboo or the stigma that there is. So I think it's a good thing that today we're talking about it and,
Yeah.
raising awareness about this game. And
Yeah,
I
you need
had
to
one
understand that's
question.
a disorder. I mean, just one
Yes,
thing, you
ma'am.
need to
Exactly.
understand that's a disorder. So, your friends around you, or, I don't know, parents are not listening here, but, if you find that your child is behaving in a very different way suddenly, all of a sudden, there was a client who got his son because his son was hiding chapatis, and after 3 months, he found that his son was hiding chapatis in his room because the room started smelling. Now, imagine this is a disorder. And when this kind of a thing happens, he just came to me as a nutritionist. Finally, I had to put him up to a psychologist and a nutritionist thing come together. It's not easy. Till the time that person has reached that, the parent didn't understand. That was something very surprising to me. I don't blame the parents, because I am also a mother myself, and I have a teenage son now. And what happens is it becomes very difficult to crack into them, because after a time, they get angry very easily. That teenage, I think, blood or whatever.
Yes, ma'am.
So you need to really have a conversation constantly. Or then probably if there are friends around, you need to realize that this is something happening, and let us just take a note of this. Take a further
Yes,
step to
ma'am.
that.
Yeah,
Definitely.
why is your friend cutting off you from social gatherings? Why you are calling them and they are not coming? And why is he or she dropping weight rapidly? Uh, Just, you can see it.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
just don't say it.
Right, ma'am. We'll keep that in mind. Definitely. So, ma'am, we were talking about how it affects teens and young adults, right? So, can you shed some light about the same in the older population? Are these
Yeah.
eating disorders prevalent when it comes to the older population, or is it
Yes.
just more the teens and the young adults?
Should I take that?
Oh, sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, yes, we do see this in the older people also. And anorexia and bulimia, what we are talking about, is a disorder which just does not start, at an adult age. It starts from a younger age and it moves on to an adult age where this is like a mental disorder which requires an intervention. And this is a body makeup. So then, like just like the way you will have other mental disorders, like probably ADHD is one of such disorder. Similar to that, it might start at a young age, going unnoticed, and then and the same thing moves on to the adult age. So this is very common. Commonly seen. Not I have not seen anorexia or bulimia so much in adults as much as I see orthorexia in adults, because they have an access to good food. They are earning well,
Okay.
so that they can afford food, they can afford gym membership, they can afford paying for fancy foods that they want to buy. That's where I am finding. And this excessive exercise. So orthorexia and excessive exercise is more commonly seen in adults when I'm consulting. But yes, anorexia is something which starts at a much, much earlier age, and it continues if it is not really paid attention to. But these two things are very commonly seen in adulthood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ms. Khan, would
Uh,
you like to add to that?
Same thing, same thing. I have worked with clients who have reached their 40s and 50s, and they remain undiagnosed. And because of that, it becomes even worse for them to understand, for us to treat them and get them the help that they need, because they think that I was eating like this since 20 years. Why is it a problem now? Right? So it is seen in adults as well, but it starts from a younger age, slowly and steadily, and then it extends, and it exponentially just multiplies, and the effects are seen later for some people. Mostly people who are going through it, young adults and teens, they are diagnosed till the age of 25, and they are treated the way they should be, and then eventually they come out of it. But people who just remain undiagnosed are the people who we see in their late 40s and 50s that go through that. Yes, anorexia and bulimia,
No.
both.
So, ma'am, I had one question. Recently, one of a very good cricketer, Shane Warne, he died because of allegedly it was a fat diet and lot of exercise. So, but I don't see the point because as a young adult, he had proper nutrition, proper exercise. So, is it possible that these eating disorders started when he was getting older, when he was getting, he was gaining weight due to age? Is that possible, or is it always that it starts when you're a young adult?
So what happens is, as I was mentioning, like there's an access to supplements. There is an
Okay.
because supplements are nowadays very commonly available these days. Okay, like these kind of supplements were not present when we were, when we graduated out also. But there is a lot of access to supplements. There is a lot of access to diets in a particular way, the diets like given by for sportsmen are also coined, like you follow a vegan diet, and along with this you take these kind of supplements, and then with this you take follow this kind of an exercise pattern, and it's going to work fantastic. But what happens is your body is aging, and suddenly when you're see so I think a lot must be also not only just eating, but also the kind of supplements that that person must be taking, because nowadays you get a lot of thermogenic agents, you get a lot of fat burners, steroids, which we are not even aware of what is available off the counter. We really need to study the label, the what is the contents that are written behind, and then be convinced, that okay, this thing can be given to the clients. But there are a lot of clients who come to us and they come up with a list of medication. These are the things that I have seen. Now you tell me what I'm supposed to consume, or this thing I've already got. Now what do I consume out of that? It's very difficult to convince people these days, like everything is possible through food, and supplementation just goes beyond it. So this is exactly what is happening. Too much of exercise, trying to fit in the same way, probably he must have seen his colleagues and all really doing well with the kind of exercise. His trainer must have given him a pattern of a diet, this kind of a workout, and probably these supplements. So something plays on your body.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And proper medical diagnosis is always important. If you are someone who's training a lot and who is on on a strict diet for a very long time, you have to keep doing your blood work. You have to keep seeing, monitoring your heart rate, monitoring everything. So,
Yes.
and I think they have the money to do it also. But then greed comes in to look a certain way, and then there comes this shortcut, this fad, this diet, that okay, cut these things and you are going to be all chiseled. And they do a lot of photo shoots also, they get a lot of money for that. So maybe just for the way they want to look on the screen, they start focusing on eating things that they shouldn't be eating, and then eventually I don't think we cannot assume that it was he had some disorder since the beginning, or
Yes.
what he did, but he did something wrong which resulted in that, right? So yeah.
It might
Okay.
not be even a disorder. Maybe he was just misled. That is also one more possibility.
Possible. Yes,
Probably it
ma'am.
was just not the eating disorder at all. At all. Maybe he was doing everything right, not restricting and all. But maybe he was just simply misled. By doing this particular diet, supplements, exercise. This is the kind of a result you will see. That's also a
Yes, ma'am.
possibility.
Absolutely. Definitely. So, ma'am, let's move on to the next question. So, there is a notion that we discussed that this particular diet, weight, or this type of body size will lead to the happiness we want. So, to what extent is this true? Like, do people who follow such fat diets, after the diet is over, are they happy with their bodies? Are they happy with the way they look? Or is it just a cycle that keeps on going and going?
So
It
these
is a
people are
vicious
never ever
cycle.
happy with that. They are never ever happy. The minute they look at the mirror, they'll say, "Oh, idhar se thoda sa mota lag raha hai. Oh, udhar se na thoda sa aur hona chahiye." So you will never be happy with, once you get into that, and you're obsessed. So this is a kind of an obsession that I'm talking about. So then thoda or. This is human nature. Once you achieve a particular thing, it'll never happen. There are a few clients who come like this. They achieve the results and they say, okay, now I'm done. Like, now I want to maintain at this. But there are a few beyond that. Let's get into the next phase. Where I have achieved this. Now let's get into the next phase of having six packs, abs, so on and so forth. So yeah, there. I don't think that they are stationed there. Then it goes beyond that, and that is and that is where I think the nutritionist plays a role and says, okay, this is your goal. Let us keep this as a long term goal, and this is how it is going to happen. And finally, at the end of it, this is what you should be seeing, and please be satisfied with that. Let's move on to the next thing.
Right, ma'am. Miss Khan, would you like to add to that?
Yeah. And I think there's nothing wrong with building a six pack or a eight pack or whatever. But these people that we are talking about, they don't give time. They don't give time to their nutritionist also. That मुझे तो एक महीने में ही result चाहिए. Do whatever.
Yeah,
Put
exactly.
me on a water diet and I'm happy. And I said that I can go to jail for that if I put you on a water diet and somebody sues me. I can't do that. And that's how it is. They are never happy. They are obsessed with the scale. And we are not even talking about people who have eating disorders. They are normal people who are just obsessed with the weighing scale, and eventually it leads to that. For example, someone comes to me and tells me that, hey Azra, this is my goal, and we build a plan for them, and it takes them 8 months, 6 months, or whatever to reach that goal. And then after that, they keep pushing that, okay, now I want to be a certain size. In just 2 months I have a lot of models who come to me. They have some shows or shoots and they want to be all chiseled, and they give me just 10 days or 15 days to help them, and I can't do that. And then what happens is, mostly I assume that they go because most of the responsible dietitians or nutritionists or RDs will not take them, and then they go on Google and on YouTube and they search, because everything is on Google. There is an answer for everything, there is a solution for everything. They search it, they follow it. YouTube doesn't say what are the repercussions of a diet that they are suggesting, right? There are people who suggest all kinds of diets, but they don't tell what happened after a year. What was your blood work like? What was your stamina like? What was your bone density like? No one talks about that. So they follow it, and that is when they fall in the rut, because then they have no one to help. They help themselves, and they see results, because these things do give results. And then they start doing this vicious cycle of, "Arey, मैं I'll eat a pizza every day of the week, and then the next week I'll be on a juice cleanse, and then I'll be fit and fabulous for the event that is coming in. So that is the mindset. Everyone needs faster, quicker results. No one listens to us a lot, a lot of times.
Yes, ma'am. So it's mostly about the short-term goals that they want.
Yeah.
Nobody is
Yes.
concerned about how they want to look long-term or the long-term goals.
Correct. Our attention span has reduced, so has the patience as
Right.
well. We don't want to invest the energy, the time in getting results. We just need quicker results no matter what. And that is why these fat burners, these meal replacement shakes are dominating the fitness industry, because they give what the consumer wants, and that's how it is. That's how the chain runs.
Absolutely. Ma'am. Right. So, ma'am, we spoke about how eventually a person falls into the cycle. So, when does a person know that he or she is at the edge of developing a disorder? How does one identify that this is where I am wrong? I need to fix this. How can I or how can any one of my friends identify that I may be getting a eating disorder?
Okay.
So
There
the
are
thing
very
is,
few lucky.
probably,
Yeah.
yeah, you can take it, Azra. I'll speak later.
Okay. I think there are a few lucky people who diagnose it on time. At least for the people I have dealt with, most of them, it's not that they don't want to see it; they don't see it because for them that is the normal. That is how they lose weight. That is how they'll fit into the dress, and that is they think कि सब ठीक ही तो है, सब सही ही तो कर रही हूँ. If they knew that this is going to lead to such a issue, such a disorder, and this is an issue we need to talk about, I think they would never do the crash dieting that they are doing right now. So I don't think they know more. I hope at least that they don't know that they are doing it and they are deliberately falling into it.
Right.
So the
Mr.
thing is,
Deshpande.
this is my take on it. I feel like a person when he see eating disorders, I told you it's a spectrum. Okay, it starts with
Right.
something like dieting, and then it moves on to something which is a eating
Like
disorder because
obsession.
there is some sort of low self esteem and really a weak mind. Because not everybody is having eating disorders, right? We follow diet, we follow fat diets, we start eating normally, and then we go back to fat diets. This is, I think, normal to a large extent in today's day. Okay, but when it is eating disorders, it starts with being obsessed with it. Okay, so you will see friends around you who are obsessed. That obsession is very different. I hope you can, I mean, the ones who are listening, if you have people around you like this, who are constantly having health on their mind, it's good to have health on your mind because you want to be fit. But when it goes beyond, okay, I won't even touch this food. Okay, this is my time for workout. I have to do it today no matter what. I'm not going to eat even an extra morsel. This is something, it starts with that. Okay, and then beyond that, maybe a lot of times a person does not himself or herself realize that that is a disorder, but people around need to realize it, that there is something going wrong, either friends or family. And one very important thing is, if you start suspecting, okay, I am having some issue with being obsessed with food and exercise, please talk it out. Speak out to your friends, speak out to your family, read a lot about it if you want, and then seek medical help if necessary. I think now children can also access psychologists easily. So and it's not a taboo, or it's not a stigma. You just need that help at that point in time. You can easily come out of it. You don't have to take a lifelong support of a psychologist or a psychiatrist. It is just because you're having a problem at that point in time, and it is not because I'm weak I need a psychiatrist, because it is because I've tried too hard myself, I'm hard on myself, and I'm not able to come out of it, is very where you need a psychologist and a psychiatrist. So don't be hard on yourself and say like, okay, I'm so weak and that's why I have to get mental help. It is not that at all, because you tried so hard by yourself alone fighting it out. You need a little bit of assistance from somebody who will have a third eye view about it. And then once you're out of it, it's not something you need to constantly have lifelong, just for that time being.
Yes, ma'am. There absolutely shouldn't be any shame when it comes to eating disorders or mental
No,
disorders or
no,
anything. Definitely.
no. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So coming to the next question, that is eating this, like we spoke about this, right? That eating disorders are generally when people want to fit in. You want to fit in into your peer groups. So how can social life be difficult for a person with an eating disorder? Can it, I mean, yes, you're fitting into the dress, yes, you look great, but the repercussions, how do they affect your social life?
I
Oh,
think
ma'am,
Yeah,
you
so
first
I
can.
of
think,
all,
yeah.
I the first repercussion is they can't enjoy. They can't enjoy the life. They thought that once I'll reach that size, once I go to the party, everyone is just going to talk about me or look at me. Or these are the things they need: attention, good attention, positive attention. They want to be valued in other people's eyes, and for that they start taking steps that are not healthy for them. So most of these people, they start not attending the social events most of the time. That's why I said that you will know that there's something wrong with your friend when they start
Yes,
missing out on the parties that you're throwing in, because there will be food and they have to eat it, and that's what they don't want, so mostly they avoid that. And then if not, they end up drinking a lot, because for them, that's what I have dealt with a few clients who did have a drinking problem just because they didn't want to eat, and they don't even know that it is adding the same amount of calories any which way. So
exactly.
why not eat that pizza rather than just drinking that beer or wine or whatever. So it's just about their social circle also gets limited. Maybe they meet similar kind of people who are doing the same things, and that's what encourages them to do the same things as well. They leave their friends, they don't attend their family gatherings, because either the family is talking about their weight or how good they are looking, or they are
Yeah,
talking about how thin they have got, and everything is about just their body. So eventually they cut out from their real friends and family, and they uh, go in a circle where this is normal, and that is what encourages them to keep doing that. And I think that is how a good friend can pick up from these behaviors.
yes, ma'am, absolutely. Mrs. Deshpande, would you like to?
Yeah, so exactly. Social life is, a lot affected in these people because they will go into parties, or, or they will meet up friends or whatever it is, but not eat anything at all. Then people around them start, pointing out and teasing them that you are not eating. And at the same time, eating disorder is a thing like, I want to eat it, but I can't eat it. And there was a client who used to cry because, he used to say that I want to, I mean, girl, sorry, she used to say, I want to eat this, but I cannot eat it because I know it is going to affect me really very bad. So that is where, the social life is not only affected by moving out in people, but they themselves are feeling extremely sad about it, and they are not able to handle it and get out of it also. So they not even eat because they know it's not good for them. But at the same time, they want to eat because they are hungry at that point in time. So this is exactly what happens. So social life is completely affected. Either they are having a lot of a few friends who will have a similar kind of a mindset, or then even if they go in the social gatherings, they will not eat at all. Then friends will be teasing them around. That will
Right.
further affect their self-esteem, because it all starts with having a low self-esteem in a lot of cases with people having eating disorders.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. I'm sure we've seen that before. I mean, we haven't probably noticed it, but it does happen. Now that I think
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yes, ma'am. So we move on to the next question. That is, how does nutritional therapy differ from psychotherapy when it comes to controlling the problem of eating disorders? So, ma'am, you spoke about it earlier, so why don't you continue?
You want me to speak, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the thing is, like, first, a lot of cases, what happens is when children are not eating properly, the parents will get most of the time to the nutritionist itself. Okay. So through experience, talking with the people, talking with these adolescent children, we understand that there is some kind of a thing beyond just dieting. Okay. This is very important to identify that this is not a normal case of a person wants to fit in and just dieting and having a short-term goal, but this is beyond that. Then in such point in time, what we generally do is we have to convince the parents that yes, see, there is some kind of a more help required beyond nutritionist advice also. Now why a psychologist or why a psychiatrist is required in this picture is because, see, when we ask the person to eat in a particular way, the person is not going to eat it. When we are even trying to say, like, okay, you need to consume these many calories for breakfast, lunch, snacks, Even if you're trying to fit into their routine, they have a fixed pattern in their mind. I'm going to eat an apple for breakfast, I'm going to eat a salad for lunch, and dinners are probably something like a soup. When you're trying to say, okay, let's eat healthy, I will make you lose weight, but at the same time you need to eat healthy to lose weight, it becomes very difficult to crack into them. So that is where the psychologist comes into picture. And where there is a severe eating disorder, a psychiatrist will prescribe medication to calm the person down. Then the person will be moving on to a psychologist, where the psychologist will counsel, help the person understand what he exactly is feeling at that point in time, and the nutritionist will be giving the right kind of a diet, so that everything works in amalgamation together, and then the person sees better results. So even we keep on talking to psychologists, require, like if a client is walking in, we will speak to the psychologist, understand what the psychologist is trying to say, that it's a teamwork. I mean, even if we sit individually, it's a teamwork. We need to speak to the psychologist, we need to counsel the parents separately, speak to the person in individual, not even also when the parents are around, because a lot of clients speak with us more when the parents are not around them. They might have some grievances, which they are trying to, like, we are a third person, right? We are not just involved into the day to day life, so they speak out better with us. Sometimes reversing of the problems happens very well even at the nutritionist stage, if the person is receptive to make the changes. If not, then it is very important that these all three teams come together.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Khan, would you like to add to that?
Yeah. So same as she said, Avanti said that we have to work as a team in order to cure a severe eating disorder. When it comes to nutritional therapy, basically we do a nutritional assessment, nutritional analysis, what is their lifestyle like, and of course we do talk about what went wrong and how did you put on weight and all the basic history. And through that we come to know that okay, there is something the person is not telling us, or maybe he maybe, and we have to know if this is where we stop and this is where we can't help them any further, and then we refer them to, maybe if there is a member in our team, like how I work, I have a psychologist on board and I have a psychiatrist on board. And I think this is very important nowadays to have give them what they need, especially young teenagers who come, they don't even know if they need help in that regard, right? So after the nutritional assessment is when we refer, as Avanti said, if we need to talk to the parents first, we talk basically therapy of both of them is required, the parents and the child, and psychologists and psychiatrists come on board afterwards, and then as a team we figure out a plan which will help them recover at a steady state. Kuch rapid nahi hoga, nothing is going to happen overnight, but eventually I've seen people come out of it, and yeah, this is how it works.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I just add one thing to this? That we are talking about binge eating also as an eating disorder. So it is seen like anxiety, depression is also one reason why people are getting into binge eating. Nothing to do with body image as such. What happens at that point in time, if that person is having nutritional deficiencies, a B12 deficiency, a D3 deficiency, and probably your hemogram, that is your hemoglobin low, is when you could be having anxiety issues or depression issues. So this is also, and people have gone to psychiatrists. The psychiatrists have asked them simply to do a B12 test, and then the reversing of that particular problem was possible only because the B12 was deficient. So this is also very common. Okay, so even if it is young adolescents, you could have a B12 and a D3 deficiency, which could be leading to depression. And if once that is treated, you could come out of it. You could probably start eating normally also.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
coping
So,
mechanism has to be analyzed basically. If you are in stress, what is your coping mechanism like? Do you divert towards maybe a lot of sweets, a lot of food, and excessive running, overworking out? These are the things that are some negative coping mechanisms that people do due to some stress, maybe exams or results or job or whatever. And we try to help them convert it into a positive one, maybe by reducing their negative coping mechanism and introducing positive, what they can do elsewise with with the medical help that is needed, of course.
ma'am, can you elaborate on these positive coping mechanisms? I'm sure it'll help a lot of us when it comes to
Okay, so yeah,
binge eating or
positive
stress eating.
first of all, you need to understand that, do you have a negative coping mechanism? Like, if a person is in stress, like if I am in stress, what do I generally do? I go for a long walk and I feel better. Similarly, there can be a person who is in the similar stress, same stress, and their way of dealing with it is just lying in bed and watching Netflix and ordering in a lot of food, and that makes them feel better for a little amount of time. And after that, what happens? They feel more shitty about it. Oh my god, now the problem is not gone yet, and I have put on 2 kgs more, so now what to do? And now, अच्छा अभी हो गया तो चलो 2 दिन और बेड में बिताते फिर आगे चलेंगे. So this is, initially it is fun, but this is a negative coping mechanism. And to divert it to positive one, first you have to diagnose it, analyze it. What do you do? What is the most common thing that you do when you are stressed? And then try to, these are the things that come naturally, but the trying to convert it into positive is something that will eventually come by behavioral change. And that has to be like going for a walk or meditating, trying to lower your cortisol levels down by maybe going to a psychologist, talking about what the stress is about, doing some meditation. And these are the things that will help. Eating clean food, taking care of your body, this is something that helps a lot of people bring out positive impact in their life and reduce the stress that they are on as well. If they take care of their body, in their head at least something is going right. So if everything is going wrong and then you ruin your body also, that is another added step, feather on the cap. And
Yeah.
then they end up doing things that they shouldn't be doing.
Right. Yes, ma'am. So let's move on to the next question, which is kind of related to the previous one. We spoke about how we need a psychologist, a psychiatrist, and a nutritionist to help a person with the eating disorder. So we aren't psychologists, psychiatrists, or nutritionists. We are engineers. How can I, as a person, help my friend who is dealing with an eating disorder, like in my normal day-to-day life? How can one? We spoke about how we can identify it, but how can I help the person, or how can anyone help the person?
So the thing
Miss
is,
Khan, would you like to? Oh,
first
sorry.
of all, identifying is very important. As I was mentioning, it is a spectrum. You need to identify where a person is just simply following a stricter diet to achieve a particular result, as against is the person really having an eating disorder. Now, if a person is diagnosed with eating disorder, not very commonly diagnosed these days, but even if a person is diagnosed with eating disorders, friends around are of a great help, because that is where that fitting in comes into picture. So making a comfort zone for that particular person is very important, so that that person feels, no matter what shape of body I have, no matter whatever it is, I am who I am, and I am fitting into this, into my friend circle. A lot of times it happens that because you're not able to just fit into that particular place, you are trying to get better, or probably you are just trying to imagine that this is a particular way I want to look, and then you're trying to go beyond that. So as a friend, I think identifying first of all is very important, so that you identify that there is something going wrong. Then beyond that, what you all can do is, you can't directly refer to a psychologist, you'll have to speak to the person's parents. That is the second thing you could do. Talk to that person that I am feeling something is wrong over here. Maybe that person will express out to you at that point itself, and maybe beyond that it will just be sorted out there itself, where it's not a major eating disorder. But beyond that, if you feel that it is something major, I think you should make it a point to speak to the parents, or then help, you're more advanced in understanding the things, or technology around. Maybe ask the parent that, okay, we attended this kind of a lecture, we feel like a psychologist or a nutritionist intervention will make a lot of difference, why don't you try it out? Once probably your friend has visited a psychologist, then try to make a good environment around, so that things are working out. But it doesn't really happen in this particular way. At a grassroots level, if you want to start, you can just start by identifying what the problem is, talk it out, and then if not, take it to the parents.
Right, ma'am. Miss Khan, would you like to add to that?
And I would like to add just one thing to that, that stop making jokes about people's
Mhm.
body, because
True.
that happens very commonly in college and I have seen it. So the first step to like you said, what can we do before doing anything? Just be normal and treat people normally, and do not segregate people in sections, is the first thing that you should do. If someone is too thin, stop making bad jokes for them. If someone is too fat, stop making bad jokes for them. And because that, in the beginning only, it sections out. In the beginning, when the after the initial sessions start, there are separate groups, some bright minded people, some very up in the fashion game, they start hanging out in a certain group. And there are some people, I have been in one of those groups, jahan pe people segregate them by name calling them, and then they eventually, their self esteem goes low. And uh, then half of the time, these people don't get noticed, that even if they are doing something, because they have been segregated from the class or from the group, they don't even get noticed कि पता चले कि उनकी लाइफ में कुछ चेंज हो रहा है, उनकी बॉडी में चेंज हो रहा है. Suddenly, if they lose weight, people start want to start being friends with them, and they start sending them friend requests, and suddenly it happens most of the time. That what I have seen. So as a friend, what you can do is, first, as a friend, chodo, as a classmate, as a peer, you should stop people should stop calling out people on how they look, and that will make them at home feel comfortable around you, around everybody. And then if you figure out, you analyze that okay, something is wrong with the friend, then what Avanti said, we can take it forward from there. But in college, this thing is very common, that people start calling out. And I know that for a few it is just fun and games, but for someone, their whole week will be ruined just because you call them fat. And it has happened to a lot of people, I know. So that is what you can do. By stop, not everything has to come out of your mouth. If even if you think in this, it's okay, but don't say it, because you don't know what is the impact it is going to have on the on the person who is receiving it, right? So that's what you
Yes,
can do.
ma'am. Definitely. We'll keep that in mind. So, ma'am, we are done with the panel questions. So, I would now like to ask the audience to post up your questions if you have any. So, ma'am, there's a question. What should a person do if he has this kind of disorder? Like when he eats the food after sometimes tries to come out of the mouth. Or, I mean, it is. What should a person do? I think we spoke about this, but if you have anything else to add.
It's bulimia. And that's what happens. A person eats whatever they want to, and then they come, and then they puke, and the food doesn't want to come out of the mouth. It is because you want to do it, that's why you do it. You go on the toilet seat and put your fingers, and this is how no matter how it sounds, but this is how people do it. So first of all, if you have analyzed it, great. That okay, if the person who's asking the question, that means the person knows that something is wrong with me. And then comes the help that we talked about: nutritional therapy, psychotherapy. These are the things that people should seek guidance with, and they will help them. They will diagnose, they will have a proper plan for them, and they have to follow it, and eventually everything will be fine.
Right now. Mrs. Deshpande, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think the way Azra has just mentioned, it's very important. The first step is identification. So, if you are feeling that there is something gone wrong, I think first of all, you could just talk it out. The second thing is see if it is happening over and over again. So, it might be just, because it's happening just at one given point in time. Don't worry. I mean, everything doesn't move on to a serious eating disorder. It could be just at that particular moment. So if it is a recurring thing happening over and over again, it's a pattern that you're following. So if you be observant, if you're feeling that this is a kind of a pattern that you're following, I think you've got to know enough about the different kind of therapies that are available, the kind of help that you should be seeking at. So I think you choose start with anyone. You either go to a psychologist or you come to a nutritionist, either or. You will be directed in the right way, whatever is the necessary path.
Yes, ma'am. I hope that answers your question. Can we have the next
Yes.
question, please? How should we modify our social media feeds so that we can stay away from these disorders? Like, where do we draw the line? Uh,
So I think it is all upon, I think your generation is very smart. I would just say that, okay, because y'all take in whatever y'all want to take in. But there are times where you get obsessed. I think at such point in time, simply mute these kind of accounts where it's playing on your mind. So you mute it. You just don't out of mind, out of sight, out of mind. It's as simple as that, because there are so many different accounts. So you don't have to be responsible to see everything, act on everything. You could just consume it and not use it, or if it is really affecting you, mute it, delete that particular account which you're following if you're not finding it interesting at all. So I think most of your generation is very smart enough, and they know what you want to take and what you want to leave out. There will be moments where you don't understand. At such point in time, just stay away, mute it, remove it out of mind. Just the way I'm saying, out of sight, out of mind.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Khan, would you like to add to that?
You guys are engineers. You know when a picture is morphed, first of all. Okay, you
Right.
should know that. And then, like she said, Avanti said, out of sight, out of mind. And you have to filter it out. Aisa nahi hai, we are sitting here talking about it. That doesn't mean that things don't bother us when we see some things online, right? So everybody goes through this comparison and whatever they see. We all see the greener grass, right? So if they are posting a picture with abs, we don't know that probably 1 year in making, and that is the picture. They think, अरे वाह, कल तो ये abs नहीं थे, because कल उसने t-shirt पहनी थी, that's why नहीं थे, and now
Mm.
he is showing the abs because maybe now is the time. So it is important to filter out. It is important to block the pages which do not give peace of mind to you, which do not motivate you to do better, and which do not help you understand the significance of health, nutrition, and the pages that just focus on putting out pictures that are very vanity friendly, and they don't tell what is going behind that. And yeah, these are the things that you can do. It is in your control. The button is in your hand. You just have to
Right.
choose to unfollow. That's about it.
Can I
So
just
it's
add
not.
one more thing over here?
Sure, ma'am. Please.
Yeah. So, what I just want to say, as far as you're following whatever fitness accounts and nutrition accounts, is only where I can speak about. Be sure of the authenticity of the person whom you're following. What is the kind of an educational background that person has, even for a fitness trainer? There will be influencers and there'll be fitness trainers. There's a difference. So, you need to understand. Similarly, there'll be nutritionists and there will be somebody who's done a short course. So, go, you read the bio, which is there on top. Be
Right.
convinced that whoever you're following, just don't go with the number of followers that person has. Might not be a great idea to follow that person, but see that the person is well qualified, whom you consider as idols, and you're going to follow for I don't know how many days to come.
Yeah.
Right, ma'am.
And people who are not mentioning the authenticity, that is a red flag for sure.
Yes.
That if they are
Right.
not
Yes.
mentioning what they are, that is a problem. And sometimes some people, some social media accounts don't say that they are fitness coaches or or whatever, but people believe that, oh my god, if their body looks the way it does, let's follow the same diet, or let's follow whatever they are doing, and they start following them blindly. They don't know what their physiology is, what their genetics is, what their metabolism is, whatever, and they just follow it. So sometimes it's the receiver who has to be cautious, and sometimes the people who are creating those accounts have to be authentic and transparent with their audience as well. So it is both ways.
Definitely. I'm sure that cleared your question. And we have the next one already. Following a proper diet in a mess, that is our hostel mess, sometimes becomes quite difficult due to the taste and the quality of the food as well. So, how do we manage our diet in college? I'm sure it's very relatable to everyone present here. So, ma'am, can you take it up?
Yeah. So I know mess food is quite bland and boring, because I have been a part of a mess food since for 6 years. So I know it. Uh, then what happens is, after eating the mess food, we go and have that Maggie and have that cup of chai, yeah, have something which is fried and stuff like that. Is what creates problems in your body. Mess ka food, maybe it's not that nutrition dense, but it is not that bad if you are staying, I think, in an IIT. The mess should be pretty clean and nice. But what you do afterwards is it not? You can call
It
it
is,
out,
it
right?
is. No, no, ma'am, it is.
Okay. So it's the things that you do after it, that okay, अपना खाना तो खा लिया, अब चलो थोड़ा सा चाय भी पकौड़ी भी खा लेते, samosa भी खा लेते, after the class let's go to the canteen and have something, and then go to the mess and have something. So you are eating double than what you are supposed to eat. And that is when and then most of the time you are studying, body movement itna hota nahi hai, and that is when you start maybe experiencing some health issues. So the simple things that you can do in order to get your health back on track is, even if food is in the mess, you can still keep some fruits, still keep some fresh vegetables which you can chop down and which you can eat. Do not go for the maggies, just grab a healthier alternative to what you do already, and you will be fine. Just little changes, because there are some things that are static. You are stuck in a mess, you can't do anything about it for 4 years. So what you can do is just add in the nutrients that are lacking. If you do not, you can have the kakdi, tomato, kheera, carrot, and just chop it and have a salad on the side, which will give you phytonutrients. You can have a glass of chas or a curd, or rather than having that coke, you can have some coconut water. And these are the things that you can do while staying in the hostel itself. You cannot cook the food, but other things you can add basic value to whatever you are eating, and just watch what you eat. Whatever you are eating regularly, if that is unhealthy, just change the form of it. Keep a ghee ka dabba in your room and add it in your dal. Even if it is so watery, still you can add it in your dal and make it a little better. Take that achar with you in your hostel, and it will give you some taste. Squeeze some lemon. That's what I did, and I was just fine. So these are the things. Complaining is one thing, but you can do some things to change it, and these are the little things that you can do.
Yes, ma'am. We all will keep that in mind. Mrs. Deshpande, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I think what happens is, when you move out, food becomes an entertainment also. Okay, so this is something which
Yeah.
you look forward to. Let's have some good time outside. It's not just the mess food per se. It is that, because I have seen, even I have stayed in the hostel, and I have seen girls who had come and stayed in the hostel were lean when they walked in, but when they moved out, they had become really overweight. So they used to eat the hostel food also, and at the same time, they used to go and eat the food outside also. So it's the mindset, I think so. So it is, of course, I wouldn't say hostel food is ghar ka khana, but a lot of times you do crave eating ghar ka khana. A lot of times, food acts as an entertainment for you. So you need to, I think, have a strike a balance between what you consider as, of course, you're supposed to enjoy different cuisines outside, but it is an 80-20 rule. So, 80% of the times you try to eat healthy food, 20% of the time, please go ahead and enjoy whatever different kind of cuisines you want. Azra, I think, has given very good examples of how you can have food kept with you and simple small changes. One more thing which you could do is, simply keep laddus with you, which are nourishing. You can bring it from home and have it also over here, but a lot of the times you must be doing that. Whenever see, keep healthy snacks handy. So, something like maybe something like a makhana packet is handy. Maybe, salted almonds is a handy thing, or, probably keeping nutrition bars is something which is great. If not, if nothing else is available in the night, you can simply have a cup of milk and add, some sort of a normal protein powder. I'm not talking about whey protein powder, but a normal nourishing protein powder, where you're not going to eat heavy food. Sometimes you people are awake in the night time doing a lot of studies. At that time, you end up into a lot of binging and having tea and coffee constantly. So keep these food handy. Nutrition bar ho gaya, makhanas ho gaya, dry bhel ho gaya, या laddus you can keep, or simply in the night, if you want, you can simply have milk and cornflakes, mix it together and simply have it at that point in time. I think you should be sorted out. So if you want to have health on your mind, you can definitely have it. Binge a little, eat more, eat healthy most of the time. I think that is the solution to it.
And
Yes,
I would
ma'am.
like to add one thing. When Avanti says laddu, have one or two. Don't have the entire dabba. Okay, that's also
Right.
unhealthy.
Right. So, ma'am, we'll just do one or two more questions because we've exceeded the time limit, and then we'll conclude it. So, do we have another question? Sure. So I have another question myself. So, ma'am, you spoke about supplements, right? And
Hmm.
there are a lot of people who go to the gym, like in the college itself.
Yes.
So, are
Yes.
all of these supplements something that we should not take, or are there some things that we can take, and how much?
So, the thing is, like, it all depends upon, if you are into a gym training workout, it all depends upon the intensity of workout you start with. Okay. So if you start with a low intensity workout, I'm sure you must be having body composition machines in your gym. If not, a simple way to understand is what are the changes you see in your measurements or the clothes that you're wearing when you have started gym and 1 month after that. And also one more way where you can understand whether you need supplements is when you're working out. If your strength is really falling short at that point in time, in spite of eating good protein in all meals. So what we consider is protein in every meal: breakfast, lunch, snacks, dinner. A protein should definitely be there. In your scenario, where if a person is doing a gym workout and not getting enough of protein through the diet, and plus if you're a vegetarian and you don't have access to eggs and chicken meat also, at that point in time, beyond your food, then you will add a supplement. Not all supplements are bad. Even we recommend supplements to the clients, but it is with the food. So it's food first and then the supplements, because supplement is a supplement. It is along with a good
Right.
food, good eating habits as far as possible. But yes, we do
Yes.
recommend supplements after analyzing the diet.
Yes. Ms. Khan, would you like to add to that?
And yeah, and apart from supplements that come in the form of protein, there are other supplements as well. Like, we do not focus on the calcium, the B complex, the D3, and it is important that you do a basic lipid profile and do a blood work, and you will know if there is something deficient. Once there is something deficient, that's when the supplementation of various B complex, D3, and multivitamin comes in. The dosage is defined as per your nutritionist or your dietitian or your general physician as well. But that is when you start taking it. Don't just take a vitamin C or maybe curcumin. Aajkal to aa gaya hai supplement mein. These are also supplements which are marketing gimmicks. So we have to understand what you need, what you don't. You don't need a curcumin supplement because you have haldi in every food that you eat. So that's what you don't need. Agar B complex or D3 deficiency hai, then you need it in a certain amount. Then where if you are working out a lot in the gym, then you need a protein, because protein is basically amino acids. Wear and tear of repair of your body happens when you get enough protein. But if you are having if you are a non-vegetarian, for example, and if you are having enough protein in your every meal, like Avanti said, then you don't need a protein unless you're lifting very heavy weights. So it depends on what your physical activity is, it depends on your workout plan, it depends on the diet you are taking, and it depends on the blood work analysis. Whatever sums up summation mein, these are, then there is a decision made that okay, these are supplements that you should have, depending on what your body needs, and every individual's needs are also different. So
Different.
that's how you have to. Just because a celebrity is posting a protein shake ka photo in the gym doesn't mean that a student like you has to take a protein shake as well, because you're not using your muscles that much. So uski recovery ke liye utna need nahi hai. It depends basically on a physical activity कि आपको कितना protein चाहिए. Mostly, ideally, do not take it from a dabba. If necessary, then of course take it from a dabba. But खाने से जितना हो सके, try to do it as long as you are a student, and because it any which ways it is expensive. So we have
Yes,
to
ma'am.
keep that also in mind. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am, for answering that. So I would just like to conclude the session. So a huge thank you to both of our panelists for being with us today. That was
Thank you.
definitely one of the most insightful and relatable sessions I've been a part of. I am certain that today's discussion has had a profound impact on all of us present. And I'm sure that we are leaving here today more aware about how our mental state has an effect on our eating habits and decisions. Ms. Khan, Mrs. Deshpande, ma'am, again, it was an absolute pleasure to have you with us today, and we hope to see you soon. Lastly, I would like to thank all of you for being such a lovely audience. We hope to see you again in many more such sessions we have in place for you. Till then, stay tuned.
Thank you for
So,
having
thank
us.
you,
Bye. Take
ma'am.
care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.